Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we're making an incredibly rich mushroom risotto inspired by a recipe from Nick's kitchen. It's creamy and very comforting. Trust us, you're not going to regret making this one. The first thing we're going to do is build a massive flavor base using dry porcini mushrooms. We're placing them in a bowl and covering them with 1 cup of hot water, letting them soak for at least 10 minutes.
While those soak, let's prepare our mushroom broth. As you can see, we are just roughly chopping an onion and using half of it for the broth. We are also taking the green tops of the leek, the part you will be less inclined to use, and throwing those in the pan too. We are also taking all the woody stem you usually discard from the fresh mushroom, adding those to the pot too. It's a perfect way to make sure nothing goes to waste while building a really rich, earthy base. Pour in your prepared chicken or vegetable stock, roughly 6 cups, plus the juice from the soaking porcini. Add a pinch of salt and let that simmer on the stove to develop while we prep the rest.
For the main ingredients, we're preparing our 3 fresh mushroom varieties, lion's mane, shiitake, and oyster. You want to cut the oyster mushrooms in long stripes, not too thick, but not too thin. For the lion's mane, you can actually just tear it apart by hand to keep that lovely texture. For the shiitake, just roughly chop them, no need to be too precise. Now use the remaining part of the leek, the white part, and chop it very finely. Set this aside. Do the same with the other half of the onion that we had used for the broth and chop a few garlic cloves as well. Finally, take your rehydrated porcini and roughly chop those up too.
Now, following the recipe's advice for the best texture, we are going to sear the fresh mushroom to remove their moisture. Add some oil to a pan, add a batch of mushroom, and pop the lid on. You will see the water start to evaporate. Just make sure you don't crowd the pan. We did this in 3 separate rounds to make sure the mushroom actually sear rather than stew. Once they are brown, remove them. We have also set aside a handful of mushroom earlier to fry until crispy. This will be our garnish later. Once fried, let those dry on some kitchen paper.
Just a quick one, guys. If you're new here, we're a French-Peruvian couple living in London. We love testing recipes from famous cookbooks or interesting ones we find online. If you're enjoying the video, please give us a follow and subscribe. It really helps our small channel grow.
In the same pan, melt a generous chunk of butter. Add your chopped leeks and onions and give them a good stir.
By the way, if there's any recipe you'd like us to try, please let us know in the comments. And if you love mushroom recipes, we're adding a link at the top right for our best recipe to date, the spicy mushroom lasagna.
Next, add the chopped porcini mushroom and the garlic and let this cook for a minute. Give that another swirl before adding 2 cups of arborio rice. Now, the patience game begins. Once the rice is well coated and toasted, add a half a cup or even a full cup if you fancy of white wine. Let it sizzle and absorb completely.
Now we start adding our mushroom broth. Add 1 ladle of hot broth to the rice and stir constantly until the liquid is mostly absorbed. Continue adding the broth 1 ladle at a time, stirring frequently, allowing each addition to absorb before adding the next. Cook for more or less 20 minutes until the rice is al dente and the texture is loose and creamy. We realized that because we left our broth simmering, it reduced a bit too much. Our advice would be to either turn the heat off once it's infused or just make a slightly larger quantity than you think you need.
When the risotto is almost ready, fold in the previously seared mushroom and mix everything gently until the mushrooms are warm and fragrant. Remove the pan from the heat and add a big chunk of butter. Once that is melted, add a full cup of Parmesan, give it one last good stir and it's ready to plate.
Here's our honest review. We loved trying a risotto recipe with so many different mushrooms. The texture and flavor were definitely there. We just recommend making enough broth and maybe adding more Parmesan for a richer and deeper flavor. If you enjoyed this recipe, please give us a like and subscribe. It really helps us out.
To finish, garnish your plated dish with the crispy mushroom we fried earlier, maybe a bit of extra Parmesan and some fresh dill. We hope you enjoy this tasty recipe. Thank you so much for watching and we will see you in the next one.